What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to the JTFB show, and the draft is officially over. And as always, what follows the draft is the signings of some players that slipped through the crack and went to the undrafted free agency. And Washington made some interesting signings that I want to talk to y'all about. This is something that people want to hear about, and I cover every year. And like I said, I think honestly, some of these players here, I think we have some practice squad guys, but I think we truly have some guys that will make the active roster and will be on the sidelines on game day. That might be a hot take, being some, undrafted free agents. But I'm going to tell y'all some of the players that I really like in these signings, some highly coveted players that Washington were able to kind of sweep away from other people or other teams. And I think this is where we start to, get that third, fourth layer of some of these positions of just this roster turnover that we've seen going on over the last few months with free agency and then also the draft. So let's first off take a quick look at some of just the list of the players that Washington signed. Starting with corner Chiggy Anium. This is a guy I'm actually going to be sitting down with tomorrow. He will be joining this show, and I'll release that probably Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. But excited to talk about him. This is a guy that was, once again, highly coveted by a lot of teams, met with a lot of teams. And then the man with the hair. This is a guy that's going to be competing, with the quarterbacks, but he's also going to be competing with me on the sidelines with the hair at training camp. That is quarterback Sam Hartman. This is once again another quarterback that a lot of teams wanted on their squad. I'm going to talk about him as well. Then we have running back Austin Jones out of USC. We have a safety Ben Nickel. Then we have offensive tackle. This is going to be hard to say, but I'm going to try my best. I apologize if I don't pronounce it right. David Nwagu Wugwu. And safety. And of course, first off, people are excited to see that there's a tackle on this list. Safety Tyler Owens, another one of those guys that Washington had to pay a hefty amount of to get him here. And then we have the local guy out of Virginia Tech, defensive tackle, Norrell Pollard, stuffing up that middle of the defensive line. And then one of my favorite guys, I was actually, I kind of peeked up when I saw this one. Wide receiver out of Georgia, Marcus Rosemy Jacksaint. First off, A+ name. Love the name. That alone should help him get on the active roster, but he's a baller. Can't wait to talk about him. Running back Michael Wiley out of Arizona. Corner A.J. Woods out of Pitt. And then tight end Colson Yankoff, a former quarterback. And once again, first team all last name making the list. So like I said, I'm not going to go through like every single one of these guys, but I really want to hit on a couple names. These are the kind of the ones I want to highlight. I haven't had the chance to go through all of these players, traveling back and stuff like that. But like I said, I think there's some guys that are actually going to make an impact. I'm not saying they're going to be like, day one starters. They're going to be lined up, ready to go first snap of week one. These are guys, in my opinion, like I said, I think there's some interesting practice squad guys. You're going to have a competition between Austin Jones and Michael Wiley, who are kind of similar and a little bit different in a couple ways. But maybe they could compete for that third running back spot. What does the team think about Chris Rodriguez Jr.? I like Chris Rodriguez. I want to see some more of him. I think he's got some juice to him. But maybe they want something a little bit different out of that third running back on the roster. But if not, these guys will be competing for a practice squad roster spot. And then you have Sam Hartman. And like I said, I'm going to talk about him. In my opinion, I think he could definitely be quarterback 3 on this roster. But let's head over here real quick. This is just a quick little rundown on the picks and like a little overview. And then I'm going to jump into the draft profile of some of these guys. We're going to give y'all some nuggets as well and why you should be paying attention to some of these players. So like I said, Sam Hartman, quarterback, played at Wake Forest first, then finished up at Notre Dame from Charlotte, North Carolina, 6'1", 212 pounds. Career stats for Sam Hartman, 1,135 completions on 1,898 passing attempts for 15,656 yards with 134 touchdowns and 49 interceptions. He got better with his interceptions as his career was kind of going on. You kind of saw that at Notre Dame, was taking care of the ball more. They were kind of hurting at wide receiver last year. Wasn't, the best wide receiver room at Notre Dame for him, but still I was impressed with a lot of things that Sam Hartman, did not only just at Notre Dame, but Wake Forest as well. This is a guy that a lot of people wanted because having a quality backup means a lot especially a guy with his experience. Like, it's almost 2,000 passing attempts in his career. That's insane. But combine pro day numbers, he had a 4.8 40-yard dash. If y'all remember, he was like the only one that ran. They did the slow-mo with his hair going through the wind. Sam Hartman definitely took every opportunity that came his way at the combine. He had a 4.34 20-yard shuttle, 7.19 3-cone drill, a 28.5-inch vertical jump, and a 9'1" broad jump. Not bad. I'll take it. Austin Jones, running back, like I said, out of USC, and also played at Stanford from Antioch, California, 5'10", 200 pounds. He had 498 carries for 2,337 yards and 24 touchdowns, 105 catches for 901 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, being behind Marshawn Lloyd, it was one of the best running backs in the draft this year. Combine pro day numbers, 4.58 40-yard dash. You want that to be a little bit faster, but still not too bad. I'll take it. 4.39 20-yard shuttle and a 4.02 3-cone drill, 36.5-inch vertical jump. And then the other running back, Michael Wiley, out of Arizona. This is a guy that was at the Senior Bowl from Houston, Texas. 5'11", 207, 336 carries for 1,712 yards with 16 touchdowns, 123 catches for 1,150 yards and 12 touchdowns. So at least we know he can catch the ball and he can make some big plays happen with the ball in his hands. 4.51 40-yard dash. I'll take that. If I had to give the advantage over any of them, I'm honestly giving it to Michael Wiley right now. Just from what I've seen, I like Wiley's game. I think that could kind of give a change of pace back as that running back 3 on the team if they were looking for that. And like I said, honestly, one of my favorite signings, Marcus Rosemy Jacksaint out of Georgia from Pompano Beach, Florida. If you get a wide receiver out of Florida, you know he's going to be a dog. 6'2", 195, and he actually was a dog at Georgia. 74 catches for 1,028 yards and 7 touchdowns in his career. 4.81 40-yard dash, not the craziest 40. 35-inch vertical, 11 bench press. Colson Yankoff, tight end, UCLA. 6'4", 225. A little bit of light, when you're talking about weight. 6'4", I like that. Like, he was a former quarterback, though, so I'm not expecting him to be like some gigantic tight end by any means. But still, transitioning, we've seen this before, transitioning from a quarterback to a tight end, nonetheless impressive. He's just an athlete. 47 rushes for 227 yards with 2 touchdowns, 9 catches for 46 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not much production there. And then David, the offensive lineman, played at Temple first, then Rutgers, then Toledo. 6'5", 301. I'll take that. 32 appearances with 16 starts. And from what I've seen, from his snap counts, looking on PFF earlier, looks like primarily as a right tackle. I mean, you can kind of tell from the picture here, he's lined up on the right side of the line. Then we have Norrell Pollard, the defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. This is a guy that I want to say he was either at the local pro day thing or they had him for some kind of visit, but I remember him popping up during like the top 30 visits or the Zoom calls and stuff like that. But I remember him popping up. I was like, oh, they're looking at a DT. He's only 6 foot, but he's 281 pounds, and I was actually super impressed by him as well. 118 tackles, 22 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 3 pass deflections, and 1 defensive touchdown. Let's go. In his career, I'll take that all day long. Bo Bauer, linebacker out of Notre Dame, 6'2", 235. All these daggone ads, they just need to put it together. Career stats: 120 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 6 pass deflections, 2 interceptions. 4.75 40, not too bad. I'll take it. And then Chiggy from Colorado State. Can't wait to talk to him tomorrow. Started out at Cal, then went to Colorado State. 6'1", 200 pounds, 133 tackles. That's the one thing that stands out to me watching him, is he is a sure tackler. 3.5 tackles for loss, 18 pass deflections, only 1 interception. I'll talk about that. Combine pro day numbers: 4.4 40. Love it. 4.25 20-yard shuttle. Love it. 7.06 3-cone, 37.5-inch vertical, 10.4 broad jump, 14 bench press. He had a really good relative athletic score. AJ Woods, defensive back out of Pitt, 5'11", 195 from Maryland. So a local guy. 102 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 25 pass deflections, and 4 interceptions. I like that. That's good numbers. And then Tyler Owens. This is a guy that's really intriguing to me. First off, talking about the experience, it might not be there, but the physical aspect, the numbers, the measurements of this dude pops big time. Started out at Texas. He's from Plano, Texas, then went to Texas Tech. 6'2", 210. That's big, dude. 69 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 5 pass deflections, 1 interception. Once again, had a limited, amount of snaps, under 1,000 snaps on defense. Ran a 4.3 40 at that size. Is ridiculous. That's his pro day, I want to say. I don't know if he was at the combine. I know he wasn't able to complete his relative athletic score, but if he did, it would have been very close to 10. It would have been perfect. Ben Nickel, DB, safety out of Iowa State. 6'1", 200, 40 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 3 pass deflections, a 4.46 40. Come on now. That's good. I'm taking that. So that's just a little overview on those guys. But like I said, there's some that I really want to kind of jump into. And let's start here with Chiggy Anium out of Colorado State. And like I said, this is a guy that met with a lot of teams. I've been doing my research over the last few days, trying to catch up with him. He had in-person visits with the Broncos, Dolphins, and Giants. He had virtual meetings with the Patriots and Cardinals. He had a local day workout with the 49ers, like their local pro day. But once again, 4.3 at his pro day, leaped a 37.5-inch vertical, 6'1", almost 6'2", 200 pounds with 93 tackles plus 12 pass breakups in 2022 and 2023. So the last 2 years. But this is a guy we had to kind of give him a good amount. He got a $50,000 signing bonus with $300K base salary guaranteed because a lot of teams wanted this guy. Like I said, he finished with an 8.88 relative athletic score. Shout out to Math Bomb for those numbers. But like I popped on the tape and I'll show y'all what they say about him. He can play in man. He can play zone as well. But in my opinion, he has a really good reaction time. He's a hard hitter, and he's really good at jamming the wide receiver at the line. I think this guy fits what Dan Quinn really wants out of his corners. So Lance Zierlein projected him round 6 or 7. Overview, he says the Anium is a big, strong outside corner whose lack of ball production could cancel out his favorable size, which I kind of disagree with. He doesn't have ideal top-end speed or closing burst, but he's a decent athlete in space. He's more interested in covering than finding the football and taking it away, and that is unlikely to change in the NFL. You never know. He might not have the necessary speed to stick at corner, but his tackling success and size give him a chance to try his hands at safety. So let's just look at his strengths before I give my thoughts on that. Big cornerback with muscular build and plus wingspan. Might have the right blend of athleticism and tackling to relocate to safety. Swings hips open from press and crowds outside, release quickly. Like that a lot. You need some of those quick hips to kind of just open up and run with the wide receiver, but also be disciplined. Adequate balance to gather and phase the comeback route. Has play strength to stand his ground and make tackles on the perimeter. That's one thing that popped out to me. Hard hitter. I'm definitely going to ask him about that Colorado game, which was nuts. Weakness, jury ball production includes a single college interception, lacks instincts and decisiveness to make plays on the ball as a pro. Long speed and burst to close, fail to impress. Coverage can be undisciplined when peeping on play action. Loses sight of receiving targets in his area from side shuffle. So my thoughts and kind of what, obviously Zierlein's one of the best. There's still a lot of corners in the league that make their money off of just not giving up, big plays. Yes, of course, you would love a guy to get a lot of interceptions. It's kind of why we drafted Manuel Forbes last year. Of course, you want your corner to get, turnovers and create those big plays. But as long as you're playing sticky coverage and, you have all these pass breakups and, you're playing disciplined, that's what I care about. You're not giving up the big plays. You're breaking up opportunities. It's 3 and out, stuff like that. That's just as good for me. And I think the whole interception thing can be worked on, whether it's just reaction time, whether it's just, trusting the defense, trusting the other players on the field, being able to just run freely. I think, Chiggy would love to work with Dan Quinn and Coach Wood Jr. I think that's a great fit. Like I said, Dan Quinn has his guys. Anusium's going to press you at the line. He wants to jam you at the line, be physical with you. He wants to run with you stride for stride. If you're a wide receiver, that's what he wants to do. He wants to be physical. And I love that. Like I love a physical corner that's confident in his abilities to run with a wide receiver. And, you know, some guys are scared to press because they're scared of that outside release. They're scared of a wide receiver getting by, but I don't get that from Chiggy Anium at all. And like I said, he has the athleticism, in my opinion. Ran a 4.3 at his pro day and a 37.5-inch vertical. I think that translates well, but having all those pass breakups, 12 over the last 2 seasons, that's great. That's a big number. I'm taking that all day long. I think he had just 9 alone last year in the pass breakups. But like I said, he was a big time name that a lot of people really wanted post draft. And I think this is a guy. Let's take a look at the depth chart real quick. Looking at corner, I know we signed some of these, veteran guys. I'm looking at, our nickel guys. I'm going to do a whole breakdown on the defense and, my prediction for starting and stuff like that. I don't think this depth chart is 100% accurate. I have some thoughts that I'll give, coming up. But looking at, corner, obviously Forbes has got to start. Forbes has to take that leap. He's got to be the next guy up. Then you have Ben St. Juste on the outside. Maybe they still make, a signing with Stephon Gilmore. Who knows? There's still time to possibly fill another corner spot. But I'm looking at, behind him, James Pierre, Christian Holmes. So Nick Whiteside, Christian Holmes, those were past guys. Do they really fit what Dan Quinn wants to do? Or could Chiggy be a guy that takes over that depth? Maybe even, back up to whoever starts on the outside. But I'm looking at Christian Holmes, Nick Whiteside, and then even down here with Tariq Castro-Fields. Noah was a signing in free agency. That's a Dan Quinn guy coming over from Dallas. And then, Michael Davis being a – we've seen this overturn in the roster over the last few months more than almost – it's got to be more than any other team in the NFL. All those green and gold you see there are new additions. Whether it's draft picks or whether it's free agents, you're seeing a big time turnover in it. Like I said, I don't think we're done. I think it shows a lot of some guys starting that might not be starting. Percy Butler starting at free safety. I think Quan Martin starts at free safety. Maybe Dom Hampton makes some rotations in. Maybe he plays strong safety. Who knows? Like I said, I'm going to give a breakdown and give my thoughts and predictions on, final roster spots, stuff like that. My own depth chart, I guess. But you're seeing a ton of turnover. I think a lot of these undrafted free agents could come in and be roster resetters. So for Chiggy, you're looking at Christian Holmes, you're looking at Nick Whiteside, you're looking at Tariq Castro-Fields to take those spots and make the active roster. Now, let's talk about Sam Hartman. This is, like I said, this is a guy that a lot of teams wanted. Having a really good backup quarterback is nice. It's not just the hair. Sam Hartman has the experience. He has the production. 6'1", 211. I'm not even worried about how athletically how he's built. I think he's fine. First off, not even worried about his numbers. But let's look at the breakdown. Zerline said he should have been drafted in the 6th or 7th. NFL comparisons, Colt McCoy. That's funny. Overview, solidly built but shorter. Hartman plays with a competitive temperament but a lack of consistency. He can play inside structure, but at heart, he's an improv-oriented passer. I can see that. He has big hands to pump and reset the ball. And his Wake Forest tape showed a player capable of beating defenses on extended plays. He processes quickly and can go from read to throw in an instant, but the arm strength is average and can be exploited by ball-hawking defenders. There are flashes on tape that can be compelling, but his lack of physical traits and high turnover totals during his career could limit him into a role as an average backup, which that's fine. Strengths, improv-oriented with ability to process rapidly, good transition quickness from see it to throw it, just a quick trigger. That's big. Drops in a smooth, catchable deep ball over defender. Showed ability to help his calls with his legs during his time at Wake Forest. Didn't really see it much in Notre Dame. Weaknesses, turnovers pile up thanks to decision-making and overthrows. Frantic footwork and mechanics hurt accuracy at times. Needs to play with a better eye manipulation to control safeties. Throws with closed-off hips as a roll-out passer. Doesn't throw a very firm ball on the field side. So, in my opinion, he's projected to be a backup. He's an undrafted free agent. But in my opinion, I think Sam Hartman is going to be quarterback 3. So, once again, let's take a look at the depth chart. You have, obviously, starting at quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Then you have Marcus Mariota, who was signed. I know they signed Jeff Driscoll as well. Jake Fromm, once again, past regime. I think Jake Fromm's gone. I think Jeff Driscoll's gone. I think Sam Hartman has the chance to look pretty good in camp and say, I'm quarterback 3 on this team. That's my prediction. I think he's quarterback 3 when the team starts. And everyone's like, why do we sign a quarterback? First off, who cares? Second off, once again, it's good to have a high upside, super experienced, quarterback as depth. We've seen it many, many times in the NFL when you need to reach in your bag and dig deep and get one of those, God forbid something happens to the 2 quarterbacks in front of them. But it's just good to have that. It's not like, it's going to be some quarterback competition. We're going to be talking about, man, Sam Hartman looks really good in camp. Should Jaden Daniels worry? No. BS. Like, we're not worried about any of that. First off, is his upside higher than Jake Fromm and Jeff Driscoll's? I think it could be. You never know. Secondly, who cares? Like, I think he can compete as quarterback 3. Don't make it anything bigger than it has to be. Let's see who I want to talk about next. And then, I had some nuggets on Sam Hartman as well that I was kind of finding out in my research. Sam Hartman had 101 passing touchdowns since 2021, which is the most among all quarterbacks since then. Let's see who I want to take a look at next. Let's go over to Rosemy Jacksaint. I like this dude a lot. Like I said, obviously with Georgia's offense, you have Ladd McConkey, you have Brock Bowers, you have a loaded run game. Carson Beck at quarterback. Nothing against Carson Beck. I think he's going to be pretty good this year coming up. He's got a good opportunity to go pretty high in the draft. But when it comes to wide receiver wise, outside of Ladd McConkey, I really like what I saw out of Marcus Rosemy Jacksaint. He had 0 dropped passes since 2022 on 88 targets. First off, he didn't get a lot of opportunities, but when he did, he made the most out of them. The thing that impressed the heck out of me watching tape, going back and watching his big plays, is his ability to go up and get the ball, being able to high point it, his body control, and how much of a threat he is in the end zone. He's almost 6'2". He's 195. Got 10-inch hands. That's good. 33-inch arms. I'll take it. Didn't run at the combine, anything like that. Lance Zierlein said he's a priority free agent. Overview: long-limbed receiver who might not have the skill set or traits needed to uncover against NFL competition. Rosemy Jacksaint played with improved ball skills in 2023, which allowed him to tap into his size and length to catch wins. He doesn't have the speed to separate, and his routes are way too labored and sloppy at this stage. While he has the ball skills to compete at the catch point, he will really need to add polish to his game in order to find himself in consideration with a productive pass catcher. Strengths: he has good size with his long arms and big hands. Catch focus and hand-eye coordination help to avoid easy drops. Contested catch success was an example of improved ball skills. Has leaping and strength stab throws to over the top of opponents. Makes an honest effort to land and sustain run blocks in space. Big. That's the things people don't talk about. Are you going to be able to block? Even when you don't have the ball in your hands, you're not in the play. Are you still going to help out? Weakness: likely to struggle with clean releases against NFL press. Lacks convincing deep speed to keep cornerbacks from sitting on route breaks. Routes are disjointed and lack separation bursts from breaks. Drifts instead of sitting when working zone beaters underneath. The thing I get out of him is he is at worst going to be a really good red zone target to help out Jaden Daniels. Once again, this might be a hot take, but career high production this season. He got better every year. 6'1", 195, 33-inch arms. He's got really good wingspan. He's got big hands to catch the ball. Let's take a look. Let's go back over to it. Depth chart. Wide receiver, we need some help. Obviously, Terry starting. Jahan could be outside. Luke can be inside. I think we're going to see a lot of those guys flip-flop around. I think Olamide Zaccheaus makes the roster. Dax Milne's probably gone. I don't know about Diami. Just being honest. I don't know what to expect out of him. So let's say they run 6, maybe 7 wide receivers. I'd say 7 because Cliff uses a lot of, wide receiver sets, like 4 or 5 wide receiver sets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They re-signed Crowder, 5. So it gives us 2 spots. Either Diami or my guy Mitch. I think I like what I saw out of Mitch. I would love to see him get another chance. Made the roster last year, popped off in that preseason game against the Browns, said, look, I'm here to stay. Maybe they don't like Dyami Brown. I don't know. Maybe Dyami Brown's going to be like the Hollywood Brown, who's like just a vertical deep threat for Arizona. But nonetheless, I think Marcus Rosemy Jacksaint is a guy who can make that 7th final spot. And like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 7 Mitch or maybe, Rosemy Jacksaint as 7. But I think he has a chance to compete. If he shows out in camp and he's making some, big time catches, especially in the end zone, showing that he's a red zone threat, I think he's got a solid chance to make the roster. So let me close out some of these real quick. I got way too many tabs open. And I wanted to look closely at one more guy, and that's Tyler Owens, a guy that was, once again, highly coveted by a lot of teams. Looking back at what we ended up paying him, what was it? It was a good bit too. I know we gave him a bag. I can't remember offhand. I had it somewhere on here. Oh yeah, and by the way, with Sam Hartman, he actually Jim Nagy came out and said that he spent the entire pre-draft process training with Jaden Daniels. So there should be good chemistry in that quarterback room. He likes the signing a lot. So Sam Hartman's been hanging out with Jaden Daniels a lot, been throwing with him, been working out with him a lot. They have that connection together. Here we go. Here's a number. Commanders signed safety Tyler Owens to an undrafted free agent deal that includes $20,000 signing bonus, not bad, but $225,000 of base salary guaranteed for a total guarantees of $245,000 per league source. That was Aaron Wilson _NFL. So that's a hefty contract. Same with Hartman. Like, we had to pay top dollar for Hartman to get him because a lot of teams wanted him. Same with Tyler Owens. And then is it like, oh, they're locks to make the roster? No, but I also think that's an indictment on how much this team really wanted these players. And, they have a chance. Obviously, they have to earn their spot. And in my opinion, like I said, with Chiggy, I think he's going to compete to make a roster spot. Sam Hartman, I think he's going to be quarterback 3. Tyler Owens, this guy, athleticism, had the highest athleticism score out of every safety in the draft. The production obviously isn't really there because he didn't play a lot. 6'2", 216, 33 3/8 arms, 9 1/8 hand, 41-inch vertical, 12.2 broad jump. Holy smokes. That is insane. I wonder what the record is. Like, that's got, the relative athletic score has his 12.2 broad jump as a 10, like perfect. So that's got to be like the highest ever. His 41-inch vertical is a 9.75 score. If he would have been able to finish everything, like I said, I don't think he did every test. He didn't do the bench. I think he did the 40-yard dash at his pro day, and he ran a 4.35 unofficial. So if he was able to, it was on track to be a perfect relative athletic score, the highest ever by any safety ever. And it's not like, once again, it's not like he's small. He's 6'2", 216. That is insane. That boy moving too big. Like, he has no business moving that fast. Zerline had him projected as a 6th or 7th rounder. Traits-based safety with limited in-game experience and bumpy tape, but impressive flashes. Owens simply hasn't played enough football for one to determine whether or not his apparent mental bust and issues with positioning in the run game will subside with more experience. He's big, physical, and rangy with a temperament for striking near the line of scrimmage. He's not ready to handle high safety responsibilities, but can be a tough out when he's in position to contest a throw. His A+ special teams potential could buy him time as he continues schooling as a hybrid linebacker safety with a higher floor and lower ceiling. So at worst, he's going to be a really good special teams guy while he's polishing up his strengths and cleaning up his game to where he can be a guy that, makes an impact at that safety spot. Which I think he can play safety. Like, I don't think they're not saying he can't play, but like as a single high safety, if he's going to play free safety, who knows? Let's take a look at the strengths and weaknesses. Coveted blend of physical traits and top end speed. Steps into run fits with the demeanor of a linebacker. Love it. He's not afraid to get that contact. Rangy and long, creating additional tackle opportunities. Uses his size and speed to smother downfield routes and man. Potential to align over big slots and pass catching tight ends. So he could be kind of like a Quan, maybe. He's a little mixture of a Quan Martin and a Jeremy Chin. Like he can play free safety, but he can also play like a big safety role or maybe like a linebacker role. Excellent on cover teams with ability to stand out as a pro. Weaknesses, it's honestly just like his experience. But you can't help that. You can't just like make up like starts and reps and stuff like that and snaps. You can't just make it up. You just have to do it. Made just 12 career starts with fewer than 1,000 defensive snaps. Lack of experience shows up with apparent mental bust. Just not being able to read things from some time. Once again, if you don't have a lot of experience, it's going to happen. You're not going to be like the perfect prospect. Understanding of zone assignments seem to get murky. Not enough feel for leverage and pursuit angles and run support. Inconsistent at coming to balance and proper tackle positioning. So you can work on a couple things. Chiggy is honestly a phenomenal tackler. Like really good. He's a sure tackler. Out of like a lot of corners in the draft, he had like one of the lowest missed tackle rate. It was like, I know 2 years ago it was like 10%. So it was kind of high, but then it dropped all the way down to like low 5 this past year. Like it was super, super low. So he's not afraid to tackle when he can wrap guys up. But Tyler seems like, he can work on a couple things. Obviously the experience stuff, just the mental aspect of it, being able to read things, being able to react, understanding certain, plays and certain assignments, coming at him, whether it's in zone or man or whatever. But he has all the physical tools that say, hey, we can work with this guy. This guy could be a guy in the future. Once again, at worst, he could. Let's pull it up. Y'all know I love this depth chart. Let's look at that safety spot. Obviously, Reeves, Dominic Hampton. I think those are guys that make the team. Jeremy Chin, big time. Percy Butler. Like, what do we think about Percy Butler? I could see Dominic Hampton moving up to starting at free safety, and then I could see, Reeves moving up, and then maybe that third spot goes to Tyler Davis just because of his potential upside. Put him on special teams. Derek Forrest, what's he going to be like this year? But also, Quan Martin, as I mentioned, could be a guy that starts at free safety. Then that strong safety spot could go to Derek Forrest. And you're going to see a lot of rotating things. It's not going to be like just like this same set package every single down by any means. You're not going to see that. You're going to see a lot of guys doing different things. Dan Quinn's going to get creative. Coach Witt's going to get super creative and mix around, whether it's big dime, big nickel, some of these big packages with an extra DB, whether it's a corner or a safety. And they're going to keep offenses guessing. They're going to pin their ears back. They're going to get after the quarterback. But quarterbacks and offensive coordinators are going to hate playing against what we do. That's just straight up. That's my prediction. Offensive coordinators are going to hate playing against us because of what you can see. But I'm telling you, you can't make up the physical aspect, those measurements, those numbers. You can't just make that up. You either got it or you don't. You can't just be big. You can't just like, I'm going to grow an inch or two tomorrow. I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to run a 3 something when you're not even close. You just can't. Like, you can work on those mental things. You can work on your experience. You can work on that in-game, situation stuff. And he's coming to a good situation to be able to do that. There's opportunities. If you play safety, you have an opportunity here. Quan Martin at free safety, maybe Jeremy Chin at strong safety. Jeremy Chin's got to stay healthy. If he's not healthy, you have an opportunity at strong safety. Somebody else. I think Dom Hampton can play that strong safety role, no problem. I think Reeves can play a little bit of both. I like him a little bit more at free safety. But you gave him a pretty good contract as an undrafted free agent, and a lot of teams really wanted him. So it would not surprise me at all if, once again, these are the kind of guys that start to take some roster spots from the past regime. These are some roster fillers. And then with David Nwagwu out of Toledo. There's no way I'm saying his name right. I apologize. 6'4", 5'8" arms. 33 and 5'8" arms. 293 pounds, just a big dude. Maybe he could be a depth guy. Do I think he makes the team over? He's primarily right tackle. I think Cornelius is going to be more so left tackle. There's opportunity like Trent Scott, Alex Akingbulu. I think Cornelius goes to left tackle. I don't know what to expect out of Braden Daniels either. Like maybe he takes a jump up. As I've said about a lot of players on this team, Washington's finally got some coaching. So I think everybody could take a step up. Like they got my boy Ben Sinnott starting over Zach Ertz. I love that. I love it. I got something in the mail today, by the way, speaking of Ben Sinnott. That I'll have to show y'all soon. Of course, y'all know Ben's going to come on the show. You already know my boy Ben going to come. But just looking once again at some of these undrafted free agents, guys that I think could make the team. Corner, Chiggy Anium. Sam Hartman, quarterback 3. I think the Austin Jones and Michael Wiley camp competition will be interesting. Worst case, you're going to get a practice squad guy. But I think Michael Wiley has a chance to be a third running back in the NFL. I think he has some tools to his game that I like. I didn't go too in depth with him. As you know, I'm going to be going back to Virginia for camp and stuff like that, for training camp and mini camp. Maybe at the end of the month, I'm really trying to go back for that. I'll go. I'll say this. I'm going to be there. Those are things I'm looking at. Austin Jones, Michael Wiley, who's taking what snaps, who's making the most out of those, who's really competing every day. But then the secondary, outside of Chiggy, AJ Woods, productive dude. I don't know. We did sign a lot of veterans. So that's the only thing that's really killing him. I think, once again, worst case, he could be a practice squad guy. Tyler Owens, I think he has a chance to make the squad because this dude is athletic AF. Dan Quinn was probably like, please get this guy. Write that check for Tyler Owens. He has everything I'm looking for. I can polish him up. I think Ben Nickel, really good relative athletic score as well. Super athletic guy. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. Norrell Pollard, that defensive tackle out of Tech. Maybe he could be a depth guy. But we got, Johnny Newton. We got Ridgeway. Things aren't looking too good for Mathis. We'll see how that plays out. Marcus Rosemy Jacksaint, I think he makes the final cuts. Once again, I got to see how he is in camp. I got to, he's got to earn that spot. But he has some tools I really like, especially in that red zone when you need someone that can just go up and get it. Kind of like Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey can go up and get those balls, can high point stuff. Colston Yankoff, not really expecting too much. I don't know what they think of the depth at tight end, though. Like with Cole Turner, what do they think of Cole Turner? Cole's more polished, receiver, tight end. Colston might be more so like a blocking guy. Maybe he's a little bit more physical than Cole, but Cole beefed up. Cole looked big when I saw a picture of him. He looked big. I think Cole could do some things in Cliff Kingsbury's offense as well. But these are our guys that we signed after the draft. Let me know what y'all think. As always, hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up if you enjoy what you see. But watch out for Chiggy, Sam, maybe David, definitely Tyler, Marcus. I think Michael Wiley competes, and then AJ Woods is a really intriguing corner too. Like I said, I'll be sitting down with Chiggy Anium. He goes by Chiggy. Chigozi. This is like government name, but we can call him Chiggy. Get Chiggy with it. Chiggy Anium. I'm gonna sit down with him tomorrow night, and then I'll probably put that out like Thursday. Looking forward to that. But I appreciate y'all stopping by here on the channel, and I will see y'all next time. I got some things cooking up. I'm gonna start doing some deep dives in some of these players, watching some tape, giving some other predictions. There's a lot, even though the draft is done, like there's a lot to do. So hit that subscribe button. I'm Josh Taylor. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.